Right, so I think that's it. At this point, I think we're going to hand over to our highly esteemed and brilliant expert, Lee Woodman. And Lee, go ahead, take it away.
Cheers, Neil. No pressure. Right, let's go share screen. Okay. Everybody see my screen okay? Yeah. Great. So thanks, Neil. We're going to talk about live chat and what it can do for your business. We're going to try and look at how it gives us customer insights and try to make your business run more efficiently, hoping to reduce calls and essentially drive more leads and sales to your business. So these are some of the topics we're going to look at. So what is web or live chat? Those two things are interchangeable. Some of the differences between web chat and chatbots, or chat flows, as sometimes they're called. What are the benefits? And do you run kind of an integrated web chat in your CRM like Zendesk and HubSpot, or is it standalone platforms like Talk? And then we're going to look at choosing your platform, how to get set up, some analytics and triggers, one of my favorites. And then we're going to talk specifically around the data. So one of the key things to start with about why we need to think about web chat is trust. So Google is, I'm going to talk about Google, it applies to other search engines, but Google has a document called the Google Rater Guidelines, and they specifically have this phrase in there. So contact information, customer service information are extremely important for websites to handle money, especially e-commerce or credit card companies, banks, etc. If you sell online, this applies to you. Users need a way to ask questions or get help when a problem occurs. So we need to kind of facilitate that. If you think of the payday loans companies back in the day, they'd give you £1,000, but you could never get hold of them. So, they got penalized for Google because of that lack of contact information. Now, whether it's, phone number, web chat, email, you have to provide a mechanism. Live chat is the preference, certainly from my perspective at the moment. So Google has something called Grow My Store. Now you can run your website if you run e-commerce. This is especially relevant for you. You can run your website through there. Google will give you a report back. One of the key things it asks for around e-commerce is live chat. Yeah, so it's an important thing that they look for. You can run your store through this this URL and get a report back. So it is important. So Google's seeing it's important. Customers expect to see it. It's definitely something that you need to think about having. So let's just clarify what it is. So what is web or live chat? Not necessarily talking chatbots here at the moment, but we've all seen these icons bottom right corner, typically of websites, inviting us to chat. Yeah, so a couple of different platforms in play here, but it's essentially a mechanism for people to talk in real time to website owners or customer service teams or sales teams via your website. So, if we understand our customers, then for me, it's the best and cheapest way really to grow our business. If we understand what they want, we can make our websites much better places for them to browse and answer their questions without them having to ask us all the time. Now, if it's a phone conversation, it's very difficult to have that almost analytics after the call. Nobody really listens to phone calls unless, somebody's suing them and, that call needs to be extracted. Web chat, much easier to see this kind of data. And so the information that they give us is extremely valuable to the business to grow and to facilitate understanding of our customers. Yeah. Now, 42% of businesses think customers prefer phone support. It's not the case. So, 70% or 79% of consumers prefer live chat because there's the perception that there's going to be an instant response. If you're not going to give an instant response, or, it's going to be more than a couple of minutes wait time, you probably, you need to think about that, because that can have the opposite effect if you're not going to answer your chats. So let's just clarify the difference here between a chat bot or chat flow and web and live chat. So live chat for me, or web chat, is a place where the website may say, hey, a message pops up, can we help you? And the user types a message back, and there's a conversation started. A chat bot kind of facilitates that chat, so it tries to push the user down a particular route. So learn about products and services, that may go to your sales team. Learn about vacancies, HR, something else, customer service potentially. So you're funneling them down this route. A couple of other ways of using chatbots, but chatbots are a much more automated process versus live chat, which is one-to-one customer interaction. Yeah. So if we look at some of the use cases around web and live chat, so we got customer service, which is quite often the one which people assume live chat is focused around. Sales inquiries, onboarding new customers into your, could be SaaS product or whatever you sold them, lead engagement, and checkout support. So we're gonna touch on this one in a bit more depth later on. And then if we look at the use cases of chatbots or chat flows, so with a single kind of messaging window, this is a Facebook Messenger app, so you can actually order flowers, and the chatbot is factoring in your responses into kind of the order process. So you've chosen a good product, who's receiving it, what do you want the note to say. It's probably then going to ask you what the address is. So there's options for that. One kind of concept we've looked at previously is around creating quotes and invoices via chatbots, because you could say, if you've got a Zero app, you could say, who's the invoice for, how much is it for, what's the product. It's very simple process. Now, and equally, you could do it to engage leads, collect data, and pass that off to your sales team. But two very different things, really, chatbots versus web chat. If you want to try one, Intercom has a no-code setup, so you can go onto Intercom and you can create, your customizable chat flow relatively simply. It's not going to be as complex as, ordering flowers, but it'll give you some insight into what you can do. Okay. That said, 70% of consumers prefer human agents to AI technology or chatbots. So, if your chatbot is 100% effective at doing what it needs to do, potentially ordering flowers is one of those things, that's fine. If there is scope for it to go wrong 80% of the way through, you've got to be thinking about user experience consequences there. So, yeah. This is a classic example of that. So this is it's one of my clients where they almost tease the user saying, hey, we're here, can we help you? What you need. So the chatbot kind of, although there is an icon of a bot here, we get a lot of people saying, well, what happens next? Because there's no expectation around, once you've answered these questions, what actually happens in the background is it gets routed to somebody who can handle that lead or sales inquiry. The user is not told that, and that is the last thing they see. It's like, finally, so we can connect with the right person. Where are you based? UK and Europe. It could be 24 hours before that person gets a response. That for me is not a good user experience. Yes, they've captured the lead data, but they haven't, that's just not a good user experience from my perspective. So yeah, you've got to have that whole flow and managing the user expectations. So these are some of the web chat platforms which we've used before. There's different use cases for each of these. I mean, HubSpot is a CRM. It's got a chat functionality which you can just simply switch on. Talk is free. We very often use that for clients as a starting point. So into their first experience of Webchat 'cause it's free. It does a lot of functionality, which these do, but it is a siloed product. So, the data exists only inside Talk, whereas HubSpot, the data is flowing all around that kind of CRM infrastructure. And then you've got the likes of Intercom, which is a full service ticketing system, kind of a CRM. Previously, most chat platforms were siloed like Talk, but as things have progressed, it's become much more, it's a key component of the kind of the data pool. So what happens in your chat platform needs to be seen in other channels like your CRM. Yeah. So a few things we need to think about when we're choosing our platform. Functionality is key. If you are onboarding clients for SaaS products or anything like that, you may need some screen share functionality. You may need to share files. It's quite frustrating sometimes when you're on a chat and it's like, look, I'm seeing this issue. The person who is on the receiving end of the chat, can't see what you see, and they don't allow file sharing. So if there is that requirement to share things, then obviously you're going to need that level of functionality. Marketing channel attribution, this for me is a key one, because if you hook a lead in from paid search, so they come to your website, they're in the buy process, they've got a question, they spark up chat, suddenly that attribution of sale may be attributed to Talk or whichever chatbot you're using. However, it's very important to know where that actual lead came from in the first instance, because if you don't attribute that back to paid search or Facebook marketing or wherever it's come from, your cost per acquisition from that source is going to increase quite a lot. So we've seen this firsthand where somebody sparks up a conversation, it was a £60,000 deal, everything looked hunky-dory. And then when we looked inside HubSpot for the actual attribution of where that sale came from, it came in from PPC. They sparked up a conversation, and then the deal was done consequently offline with their corporate team. Now, if you run PPC and you're looking for a 3 times return on that investment, and you may only be breaking even at 3 times ROI, you need to know all of your sales that get attributed to PPC. Now, in this instance, their ROI went from 3 times to 5 times by attributing that extra sale. So that could be the difference between keeping your PPC on and turning it off. So very important to have that kind of attribution. Triggers. So, when somebody comes on the website, actually firing a trigger to engage that user. It's no good just having it sitting in the bottom right corner. And then user permissions, so listening or having the ability to give certain people access to certain kind of clients. So it could be sales, marketing, and software support. And then cost is a key one. As I say, Talk, we use that a lot with clients to kind of get them into chat so they can see the difference. It's got a free mobile app as well. And HubSpot, if you're already using HubSpot, that chat add-on is free. It's literally a 2-minute job to enable that via the HubSpot platform. And then you've got Zendesk and Intercom, which are paid. And then we've got whether you're going to go CRM versus standalone. Now we're going to touch on this a bit later, but let's jump in. So generally, when you invoke web chat, it's going to be 50% cheaper than handling calls, because your call and customer service or sales staff can handle kind of multiple instances of inquiries. I think depending on how complex your product is, you can probably have 6 chats running at any one time. I mean, if I think of my own experience, when I talk to somebody like Vodafone, I'm off doing something else. So maybe a couple of minutes before I respond, there's a delay their side. So it does kind of work where you can multitask in this sense. So if we look at business uptake on web chat, hang on, I'm just going to move my screen. I can't quite read what I've put here. So 85% of businesses who do not yet offer chat view it at the moment as a customer service channel. Now, for me, it's completely the opposite. It's all about sales. It's like, how do we see the people that are browsing our website? How do we make sure that we engage them in whatever ways we can? Web chat is a key one for that. So for me, customer service is very much like it's a secondary function of web chat, but I think companies tend to think that it's going to burden their teams. So you need to think about how you reduce that almost customer service aspect if that's what you need to do. So if you look at how companies use this at the moment, 58% of them only trigger chat if the visitor has visited a specific page. So if somebody, for example, is on your pricing page, you may only trigger chat at that point because you've kind of pre-qualified them. They've looked around your website, they come to your pricing page. It's not quite as clean cut as a, buy or bail out, but they're pre-qualified. So that's quite a key one. So what else we got here? If a visitor has been on a specific page for a certain amount of time, if they've been identified as a specific type of customer, so high value, prone to defection, or the point of sale, so in the basket process, and if the visitor has visited a certain number of pages, so if they're very engaged in the website, they've had a good look around, you probably want to trigger some kind of intervention around chat. I think, if you go back to social media 2009, there was a lot of resistance from companies to jump in there because they couldn't work out what the ROI was going to benefit their brand. Versus web chat at the moment, companies are still quite resistant of it, even though the vast majority, you're probably talking 90% of the companies that put web chat in there see the benefit. So it's very, very measurable as a add-on for your business. Not just my opinion, that is the stats. So let's jump. So some of the key benefits. So customer product insights. This is going to be people telling you or asking you questions about your products and services, which you may not necessarily have thought about. If somebody asks you via web chat, get that into your FAQs on your website because you don't want to have to answer that question again. Know your customer. So when people log into your website, you can configure web chat so that you can differentiate between those two customers. So you can say, well, this is a new prospect, never seen them before. This is going to our sales team. If they're logged in, then, one, you may not want to show chat. Yeah. So you can completely avoid interacting with that customer at all. Or if they're a high value customer, again, you might want to trigger some kind of reaction there. Training staff, so you can see the data. The data is a key one here. Onboard clients, you can see sales team performance, customer service performance through kind of platform analytics, and you can answer anywhere. It's not like a phone where mobile, arguably, but you can install the app on your phone so you can engage with people, at most opportunities. So this one for me is the key thing, which we use quite a bit. Web chat is supporting your sales funnel. So, people are browsing the web, they come down, they may add some products to basket. You need to be there if there are any issues, especially if the basket values are high. So we spend a lot of money trying to acquire people at this stage. So for example, what have we got? Something like hampers. I want a corporate hamper. It's an expensive acquisition cycle. So we need to do all we can to try and make sure that customer checks out, because when they add the product to cart, only 3.3% of sessions actually end up transacting. Yeah, so they've taken the step of actually adding it in, but then we get a 5x dropout to them transacting. So we need kind of intervention at this step to try and nudge more of these people over the line into sale. And that's where web chat can sit. And it is essentially listening to your baskets, just making sure that if there are any issues, you're on hand. And likewise, if there are any technical issues with your basket, you need to know that ASAP. And, I've seen with clients over the Christmas time that they're very vocal. People expect checkouts to work. If it doesn't work, they will tell you. So yeah, key point that you need to support your funnels with this kind of interaction. Otherwise, it's too easy just to bail out. So think about the data that you get in the conversations. So again, enriching FAQs, the difference between phone and chat. Nobody listens to these. Once that phone call's over, somebody could phone up again and again and again, asking the same question. Quite often, these people have come in via the website, seen your phone number and made the call. If you're very good at answering the questions that they have, you can, massively reduce the number of calls that you get. So one thing that we've done with an accountancy firm was they ranked very well for, how do I find my UTR number? You get 5 or 10 people asking that every day. So if there was a mention of the word UTR in the chat, we would just auto respond with, hey, you can find your UTR number by going here, So we just handled that. So we maintained our rankings. We could have equally switched chat off, but, a couple of % of those people may end up being leads. So we kept that on, but it's just how do we efficiently deal with those people? So autoresponders can work quite well in that context. So I see this a lot. I mean, I've got access to multiple clients in terms of their web chat performance and sales. Sorry, my phone's going. A lot of chats get missed out. I've got one client where it's normally after hours, people are looking, and they miss an awful lot of sales off the back of not answering. Now, when you consider that people who engage with chat, they're 3 times more likely to buy, it's just a huge missed opportunity. Yeah. So if you're going to offer live chat, you've got to find some mechanism for actually dealing with those inquiries. Now, we'll talk a little bit about that in a sec, but it is a very high value, high converting source of traffic. So, and the opportunity is there. It's not ideal missing them. Yeah, so you can see here that since August time, they've missed 200 chats. It's high value product. You're talking, I don't know, 200 to 500 quid per customer there. Yeah, it's a decent wedge. So, so you're going to get a lot of kind of management information off the back of web chat, which, how many times has it been missed? How many chats have you had? What key times of day are people talking? Do we need to resource different times of day? What are the kind of capabilities of the agents to deal with problems? And obviously you got your missed chat. So I think it's with Zendesk, just pay for a month of kind of enhanced analytics there. So you can see as much of the data as possible, take it out and, kind of cancel the subscription for the premium version after that. But you need to see everything in front of you to be able to make some good decisions around chat. So, they know the value of this kind of insight. So hence they charge a premium for it, but it's, there's very valuable insight in there. So if you're going to miss chat, so if you don't want to deal with it, Talk at least offer this capability where $1 an hour, they will answer your chats. So you could engage that between the hours of 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. out of business hours. And they won't answer the questions necessarily, but they will subtly deal with the conversation where they'll, try and fish the details out of the lead. And they'll be like, yeah, we can't deal with that at the moment, or the right person's not in the office. Give us your details and we'll take that offline. So again, try it out. I've got a couple of companies that use that. It's very effective. Yeah, so there's a link down here, and again, talk's free. So it's just this additional add-on. You'll pay for most chat platforms paid wise. You're talking minimum 25 to 50 pounds a month. So it's well worth it, in my opinion. So looking into some of the analytics, I like to see data in places where I'm familiar with it. So Google Analytics is one of those situations. So at least Zendesk pushes events into Google Analytics. So we can see here chat offline message sent, 110 people. You can then pivot this data so that you could say, well, yeah, we missed 110 people there. If you dig into those people and what they look at, you may be seeing very high value customers in that data set. So yeah, having all the data in play and seeing the insights is very important. These guys get very good ratings generally. So a lot of people use chat, 900 people, but very few bad ratings. So through personal experience working with quite a big online accountancy, we put web chat on there and they got 50% less calls, more leads, and the data was much better quality. So instead of just one person listening to that call, they actually, it was recorded. They could see the conversation. Other people could see the conversations, and much, much better data went into their CRM, so they can action upon that data. So, that's just my experience with accountancy, but, I've seen slightly lesser extent, but across multiple sectors, a similar kind of effect. Just check how we're doing for time. Okay. So how to get set up? You might need a developer. Depends what platform you're using. If you're using HubSpot, there's a plugin available for that. No coding required. You just install it, give it your talk ID, and away you go. Instant access to talk. Similar with Magento. If you're already using HubSpot and the tracking codes on your website, literally a 2-minute job to go into your account. Go to, I think it's marketing, chat flows, enable chat. It is literally a 2-minute job. And if you've got Tag Manager running on the website, you can deploy that in through Tag Manager. So, but either way, if it took more than 30 minutes to an hour to get it set up, technically speaking, I'd be surprised. Okay, so let's talk about triggers. It's no good having just this little icon in the bottom right corner for you to expect them to click on it to engage with you. They will, but you probably get, quite a low take up. If you push out a message like this after a predetermined amount of time, you'll get much, much more engagement. So, I've seen it about 50%. So be proactive. Don't hit them with it straight away because they haven't had time to absorb the content of the page. You probably want at least like 10 seconds, 15 seconds for them to, have a look around. But it's more of a reassuring voice that you are there. So, the number of times I just see this tucked in the corner and no like proactive chat box come out, it's just a missed opportunity. This is quite an interesting one. So sit stand, they are listening for when you return as well. So not only do they hit you with a message like this to begin with, but they'll say, hello again. So they know you're a returning customer. So your kind of value to that chat box, if you like, probably, I don't know, but it probably moves up a position in terms of how quickly it gets dealt with if there's multiple people, because, you're arguably of more value there. So this is nationwide mutual funds reduced abandonments in their shopping cart by 30 to 40% by installing proactive live chat software. It's just a reassuring voice, bottom right corner. We're here if you need us at this critical moment when you're about to check out. Yeah. So e-commerce, if you sell, or if you've got the possibility that some of your baskets are going to be multiple thousands of pounds, even hundreds of pounds, then again, you need to support those people. So on most stores, whether used or not, visitor behavior is monitored in real time. So it's, the data is being collected off the back of that. So you can use that data combined with chat triggers to target kind of these key customers. You might say, well, if our basket goes over £2,000, we want to give some kind of specific message to those people. You may even want to incentivize them if they are taking more than, say, 30 seconds to check out. You could hit them with some kind of offer. It's like, well, hey, we can see you're ordering a large quantity, become one of our valuable customers. Here's an extra 5% off, just to kind of give them that little nudge over the line. The data is very easily accessible to do that kind of stuff now. Yeah. So if we consider that in this particular instance, only 30% of visitors enter via the homepage. So, the kind of expectation of a website sometimes is that people come in the homepage, that's their first experience of the brand, or, they come in from Google and then they start looking around. But it's not the case. So, in this instance, only 30% of people come in via the homepage. So all those other people are coming into specific kind of content pages where it could be sector specific, it could be product specific, it could be category specific. Now, if you can tailor your message to be relevant to that page, engagement just goes through the roof in terms of live chat. So let's look at doing it via sector specific triggers. So what's the first page that people see? So in this instance, 1,600 people, this is not this website, I'm just giving an example. 1,600 people have come in to this specific page. This was the first thing that they've seen on your website. They spend 4 minutes, 25 seconds looking at it. So they're very engaged in that product, but we lose 85% of them. They don't look any further. So look at using this metric, we can be quite aggressive, inverted commas, about how we deal with that visitor, because we know we're going to lose 85% of them anyway. This could be a blog post or whatever it is. So we can be a little bit more, grabby, trying to get them. And let's be specific about the page. So it's like looking for a system to better sell and manage gift cards at your hotel. Basically come and talk to us, where this is what we do. We're very good at it. It's not a generic message. It's very, very specific to this person. Let's look at our sources based on where we get our traffic from. So we can see here Google CPC, 61% bounce rate. Not bad actually for paid search. But again, 60% of those people, they're going to come in, look at the page, spend very little time there, and then they're out of there. So if we can, again, be quite aggressive in terms of our messaging to try and hook those people, it's a lot more effective. Facebook, we've got an 88% bounce rate there. Trying to do all we can to hook those people out. So in Talk, for example, we're listening out for this FB CLID, which is an indicator that person came from paid search. And it's like, if any of these conditions are met, we do something specific. So it's coming from paid search, Facebook in that instance. Just jumping back, these are quite low bounce rate sources. So, we might want to give those people a bit more kind of breathing space. These guys, we've got to deal with them straight away. Content triggers, just how are we doing for time? Okay, so we got some content triggers here where, again, if people may come in directly via to this page from Google search, we can kind of get an idea of what they've searched for based on the content that they're looking for. So we know that they spend 15 minutes there. 83% of people exit on this page. Now, if we take this as an example, so this is an article around accountants for social workers, very, very specific content. We know that 100% of this traffic came from Google search. So that means we can kind of narrow it down a little bit. So we know all the visitors come from Google search. we know that we know the content they're looking for, we know the keyword they've searched for. So we hit them with a pretty standard message, in this instance 45 seconds, because we know it takes them 2 minutes 45, I think it was, to read this article. Bang, hit them with a message. After another 20 seconds, we back that up with a very specific message about the content they're looking for. And boom, engaged, lead acquired, and that, I think if I remember rightly, we used to have like a 30 to 50% conversion rate to lead off the back of that article using that method. It was very, very tailored and specific. And then just a little bit around tagging. So again, we know a lot of things about our customers off the back of our e-commerce platforms. So you can use that insight to tag up leads, certainly in Talk, and you can do it in other platforms. So I've tagged this specifically saying, we know the lead came from Facebook, from Google Ads. You could say that they had a basket value of X. They come from the United Kingdom in this case. Are they a key account? Lots of different information that you can feed to your sales or customer service staff about that customer without the customer actually having to give it to you themselves. So last couple of slides. As I said at the beginning, chat has very much been a siloed product for most companies. It's kind of, you plug it in, it sits there, and the data is siloed, and it's not having any other interaction with the business. We have to think about it, and our data generally in our businesses are swimming in the same pool, because if they start swimming in the same pool, you can, as an example, if somebody comes in from paid search, they engage with web chat, they submit a lead flow that goes into HubSpot, you need to know that whole acquisition cycle of that customer. If you've got a siloed chat platform like Talk, and I use Talk all the time, but it has its issues where it is siloed by itself. It's a very manual process to get that data into your CRM. And what that means for the businesses is that a lot of lead flow gets dropped out. So even with the accountancy, we probably lost, by the time somebody actually submitted a lead, which is normally via web form or email, getting that into the CRM, we probably lost 10 to 15% of leads, believe it or not, and we were on it, but it's just the way they kind of drop through the gaps. And because there's these multiple sources of how people engage, it's they get lost. So having it kind of integrated into your CRM, for me, it's absolutely key. Like Talk is not a long-term play, it's you've got to go integrated. Yeah, kind of talking here, these people have engaged. It's like, you've got to know that it was created from social media. They came from LinkedIn. This is where the lead came from, Sign up to this. This is Think with Google. They talk a lot about like web chat, digital trends. I get a lot of kind of inspiration from there. And they just send you stuff which is very relevant to what your markets are. And then the Google Rater Guidelines, just reiterating, contact information and customer service stuff is critical for websites. You have to provide a mechanism that they can get a hold of you. It even says inside there about finding customer service information, be a detective. Yeah, so they're telling their raters to be a detective in finding this information. So if you can provide a mechanism for allowing them to quickly talk to you, you're gonna win. So
great, fantastic. Lee, that was brilliant. And so if anyone wants to ask any questions, please do so in the chat and I'll relay them to Lee. So while we're waiting for that, what I'll tell you is sort of my experience of live chat. So we put a talk on one of our websites a couple of years ago, in fact, just to check it out. And it's been fantastic for us. We, like Lee said, we'd love to have integrated it into HubSpot or got HubSpot's integration with it, but we just haven't got around to it. But even so, I can honestly say that Talk has definitely generated tens of thousands of pounds of sales for us. There's absolutely no doubt about that. The amount of times we have converted people who were kind of dilly-dallying around on our site and converted them to actual sales. So, I mean, the average sale on that particular site, and actually, if anyone wants to see Talk in use, you can check it out in ramptshirts.com, which is a B2B e-commerce merchandise site. The average basket size for online sales there is about £300 or £400. So pretty sizable checkout basket size, and we have some triggers on there, and so yeah, you have a look at how that works.
Just chipping in there, I think a lot of companies still prioritize the phone over live chat. I just think that's chat for me is the priority now. It's like,
100%. We certainly get more. We get probably 4 or 5 times more live chats than we do phone. And I would say, actually, if I'm honest, the conversion rate is higher on the live chat as well. And what you were saying about the Talk live, oh, you can't see that because of the green screen. There's my mobile phone. You can't see it. The Talk live app, the Talk app is brilliant because although we cut it off at 10 p.m. and no chats come through, we don't use Talk's paid service, but we cut off at 10 p.m. It's sometimes a blessing and a curse to be able to rescue a sale from your sofa, or even from the pub when we were allowed to go to pubs, right? So, and I have done that. I've literally been in the pub, my phone is dinged, answer a couple of questions as if it's just a text conversation. They're assuming it's someone in an office with a sort of headset and looking all very professional, and it's a guy in jeans and t-shirts in the pub. So that's certainly my experience on a personal level, and the analysis is really, really handy. So like Lee says, I'm always surprised. My CTO, who's kind of a typical developer type, doesn't really interact much with the customer. Very often on one of our weekly calls, he'll say, oh yeah, I saw that customer the other day, I was having a problem with this, we'll look at that. So he's reading all those transcripts. And if that had been a phone call, there's no way that data to get to him. So, he's reading, and most of them are only a couple of questions. Some of them are lengthy bits and pieces, but, he's getting that data in a way that he would never get if it was a sale. And Talk is, like you say, it's a one-liner code solution. So I'm just going to go to the questions here. So this is, we've got one here. What I will do actually, in a second, I'll be posting the link so that you can book a 15-minute call with Lee. So hold on for that in a few moments. So Melanie is asking, we have a gated subscription platform where our customers live in addition to our website. Would you advise we have chat on both? Marketing for sales support within application. Marketing for sales and support and within application for customer services. So yeah, it seems like there's a gated bit. So the customer services behind the paywall and the sales and marketing bit at the front end. Does that work? Does it work? Is it recommended?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at a company like Vico, they actually run 2 completely separate applications, 2 chat applications for different specific functionality. So they've got a SaaS product. I think they ran Intercom for the SaaS product to kind of onboard customers once they converted, and they were running HubSpot CRM chat on the website because that's more critical for kind of the sales flow. So Intercom had that kind of ticketing capability, which is really good. HubSpot does have it, but it's not quite as good as Intercom in that capacity. So in their instances, they had 2 separate products. If you can find one solution to do both those things and run it, across both, yes. Then you can set triggers, where you can set it's essentially a trigger which is listening for kind of customers versus prospects. So you can route those 2 people to them.
You could do it by URL as well, couldn't you? Because just the back end or the member side of it will almost certainly have different URL to I mean, we don't use the triggers particularly smartly, and it's something we're trying to get better, but we have had some success with that kind of thing, and we have some people that come in via content. But yeah, it definitely takes a bit of time to get set up and think about, you know, understanding your user flow, right, and how that can link in. So if there was like one or two things that, so I mean, I get a sense that a lot of the people on this call aren't necessarily on the technical side, and although the technical side is very, very simple, most of these companies should be of a size that has somebody who can do that for them. It's a one line of code solution, certainly for stuff like talk. What is the sort of 5-minute thing that they can do now that that even though they can't go and integrate it straight away, what is there anything they can do now to research, find out how live chat can help, or what's the next step for these businesses?
I mean, the vast majority of companies that I deal with, we can get it installed in minutes. You know, I think that's, you know, it is as simple as, you know, if you're on WordPress, you put the plugin in and it's there. Mm-hmm. You know, there's very few reasons why you can't have it straight away. You know, I mean, some companies I think that when they put it on, they're going to be, you know, inundated with chat straight away. Doesn't, you know, I haven't got any kind of companies that are dealing with more than 1 or 2 an hour, you know, so it's not like you're just going to get inundated straight away. So yeah, I would try and get it installed as soon as you can, is my,
yeah, you know, so I mean, and that's it. You know, you can use the settings pretty much out of the box and then tweak them as you go along. That's what we basically did when particularly because we started with that site that we set up had very low traffic to begin with, and it was just we just kind of, as traffic increased, we tweaked it, and we realized that, you know, certain customers were coming from certain locations, you know, that we decided we couldn't serve, and so we weren't, you know, you kind of just tweak it as you go along. Becomes a lot more powerful.
You know, so in terms of like a Christmas time, one of the companies, you know, they're doing insane revenue and it's coming through chat. You know, it is the channel where these companies want to do the deal, you know, make the purchase, because whether the website is not quite specific enough, but that, you know, they had incredible trade through live chat. If it's not there, what are they going to do? You know, it's like, you know, is that going to have quite a considerable impact on your conversion rate? Quite possibly. The data that I see about, you know, metrics in the kind of web chat space indicate that if you haven't got it, you're going to make less money.
Yeah, and yeah, certainly my experience backs it up. It's quite interesting. I was working on a project in Macedonia and then in Albania a couple of years ago, and working with some startups out there. And what was really interesting is e-commerce is not particularly well developed there in terms of people don't actually trust the checkout process. They don't actually trust the actually putting their card data in. So actually a lot of the actual transactions are done over chat, and then it's payment on delivery, which is crazy because, you know, you get 1 or 2% that refuse the product on the door. But literally they were doing it over Instagram Messenger, over live chat. People saying, I want those trainers size 9. And then they were turning up a couple of days later and people literally weren't using the car. So there's a cultural thing here as well. I think increasingly young people want to use chat or more comfortable with it. I know perhaps my mum wouldn't use it, but certainly, you know, younger people with and people from countries, or, you know, for whatever reason don't want to trust online services. You know, certainly for us as a new brand, or one of our sites that was a new brand, I think a lot of the people were just checking there were humans there. Like this wasn't a scam site before, you know, they've never heard of the company before they put a credit card details in for 500 quid. They just want to make sure that there's a human there and they trust the site. I think that gives for us has been a huge element to it. So
yeah, and you know, you mentioned the word trust. It's like that's what you're trying to build. It's a mechanism for them to get a hold of you very easily. Trust is for me, it's a key component of, you know, showing trust.
Yeah. So, fantastic. Right. Well, unless we have any further questions, I will wrap it up there. You can see mine and Lee's contact details. Again, we've got next event coming up is 15 minutes, the first 15 minutes for sales conversation, how to make that better. And also, if you have any suggestions for the type of thing you want to see, drop me a line. And then there's Lee's contact details. The link to book a session with Lee is in the chat right now. So I'll leave this open for another 30 seconds just for everyone to grab the link. You're welcome, Melanie. Hope that was useful. I'm sure. Right. Assuming there's no further questions and everyone has grabbed the links and all the information they've got, I will. In fact, Lee, if everyone's welcome to leave whenever, Lee, I'll. If you hang on 30 seconds afterwards, we'll just we'll have a quick chat. But thanks, everyone. It was really good to have you here, and hopefully you got some stuff out of it. And I think we did a sales pitch for Talk actually by accident because it's free and we're mentioning it so often. It's certainly been good for us. So
yeah, I mean it's one of those ones where companies that they're reluctant to spend money on things quite often. So it's like, well, this is free. It's really good. Yes, it's not everything, but it's
yeah. It certainly was. I think we've certainly rested on our laurels with it, and we should try and move to a more integrated thing. But yeah, that's it. Certainly was a great starting, quick and easy one for us. So well, you're getting lots of thank yous in the chat there, Lee. Great. We'll leave it there, I think, and thanks everyone, and see you very soon.